Hi guys, how's it going? This is Resin of Collinwood here, and tonight I've got three Dark Shadows videos for you tonight. No, that's not an echo, or maybe repeating myself. I swear, I'm not that crazy yet. But so my first video is Dr. Peter Guthrie versus Dr. Julia Hoffman. And you might think, well, is this literally a versus video where I'm pitting the two characters against one another? No, not quite. It's somewhat of a character retrospective, but more or less times 10 in the sense of I'm really delving into the morality of these characters, and it's something I've been meaning to do as a series. So I figured I'd start with these two characters. So, for those who don't know or just haven't watched our Shadows, who is Dr. Peter Guthrie? Dr. Peter Guthrie is a parapsychologist, or should I say was, spoiler alert. He doesn't quite make it all the way, if you know what I'm saying. Yeah, he gets killed off, but so sorry if I'm spoiling anything for anybody. He's a parapsychologist who gets brought in at the suggestion of Frank Gardner, no less, who could help, who could help somebody who could help Elizabeth's case. Elizabeth has been put into a trance, and she's in this hospital now. And here's Dr. Guthrie. You know, I wasn't quite sure what to make the character when I first watched him, and really when I go back and watch the beginning episodes and go all the way through, I don't know why I get shocked by this character. There's a lot of things to look at when you look at this character as opposed to Julia Hoffman. So where is this character's moral compass? Is it good? Is it bad? Is it shades of gray? And as much as I want to say this character, though he's doing things for the right reasons, he's doing things that are very shades of gray. I mean, this guy, yes, when he comes in, he's very neutral. He is literally investigating the case in itself. He's investigating Liz's condition and how she may have ended up the way she did, in a coma where she's not even moving her eyes, and he feels that whatever happened in this house. He's investigating that, but he doesn't go into it with an accusation or finger pointing. He's very laid back, and he's very a controlled person and has a controlled manner. And you think, man, this guy, again, and I'm not saying he's a heel. He certainly isn't. He a good guy? In a sense, he is. But just because he's good doesn't mean he doesn't have that shades of gray tendency. And here's what I mean. Keep in mind, this guy was recommended by an attorney, a person of the law. So he asked Carolyn, is there anybody who knows this area really well? And she goes, well, Joe Haskell. And you think, well, what does he want this person for? What would he want Joe for? Well, I need some. And folks, if you aren't sitting down, I suggest you may sit down, because Dr. Peter Guthrie here, he's got a job. He's got a job for Joe Haskell, for our lovable Joe Haskell here. Joe, I need you to help me open up a grave. I, what? I don't think I quite understood you or heard. Joe Haskell's face. Joel Carruthers. Man, what an actor! And that's basically all of Dark Shadows. Had great actor and actresses, but Joel Carruthers will never get enough credit for how he portrayed Joe Haskell. I keep calling him Joel by accident for Joe, but Joel Carruthers really did a great job selling this, and just the shock of him. It's like, wait, what? I don't know if I can do this. And here's the thing, I don't think necessarily he's doing this just because he's still in love with Carolyn, because keep in mind, by this time he's dating Maggie Evans. I honestly think, yes, Carolyn does ask him, but I more think he does it for Elizabeth as much as Carolyn. I think he's doing it for, you know what, if this can help Mrs. Stoddard, if this can help this girl's mother, as much as he does not want to do it. And you can tell that. I mean, Joel Carruthers sells that up and down. His character Joe Haskell he's selling that. So what does he do? He does it with reluctancy, but does it. You know, he even tries to sort of, okay, I think we've done enough. No, we got to keep going. And lo and behold, they do this. And that's what I mean by Dr. Peter Guthrie Shades of Grey. I'm not saying what he did was evil, but opening a grave, by it's pretty grayish. It's a gray area, right? So, yes, this character was good, but from a morality standpoint, he was not afraid to get his hands dirty. And it paints a certain picture about Dr. Peter Guthrie. It makes you wonder if this character would have lived. Not that he did. Now he does get killed when the Phoenix causes his car to turn over and burst into flames, which great scene. If he would have lived, it makes you wonder how far would they have taken that character. Now he does get killed off, which just takes me to Dr. Julia Hoffman, played by the late great Grayson Hall. You know, for those who don't know, and I want to stress this because I want to get into the history of these characters a bit. Dr. Julia Hoffman was originally called Dr. Hoffman and was mentioned as a man. So initially, this character is was going to be a man. But the next time you hear about the character, it's Dr. Julia Hoffman. It's a woman. So they completely give the character a sex change, which thank God they did this because we got Grayson Hall. There's so much to get into with this character here too. From a morality standpoint, from a moral compass standpoint, where is this character's moral compass as to opposed to Dr. Peter Guthrie's? While Dr. Peter Guthrie was going, and this is sort of where the verses comes into play. While Dr. Peter Guthrie was going in for the reasons to actually investigate something, and yes, Dr. Hoffman did that in a sense too, the reasons for doing so are completely different, which I love. That's something Dark Shadows did it again and again and again with their characters. Their characters weren't the same as before. Their characters weren't trying to copy another character who they had already just did. They had brought these fresh-faced, brand new characters to life. And here's Dr. Julia Hoffman. Once, okay, Dr. Hoffman, um, the other doctor, the doctor is going to get killed off. Not Dr. Guthrie, Dr. Woodard, Dr. Dave Woodard, Joe Haskell, sorry, and Sam Evans all know that Maggie is not dead. Maggie Evans's death has been faked because, again, she was kidnapped by Barnabas. Now, what's really interesting here is they ship her to Windcliff, so she's out of Collinsport. Everyone thinks she's dead. And, you know, right after this, we're going to get the introduction of Anthony George, who's going to replace Mitchell Ryan as Burke Devlin. Which, again, another. Now, once this happens, once we get Dr. Julie Hoffman, at first she is trying to sort of pierce into Maggie's mind. Okay, what's, you know, and you can see that she literally is trying to treat the girl and help the girl. And you wondered, well, is this how far this character is going to go? And then she makes a very odd suggestion. She hears the name. When Maggie says the name Collins, she seems very afraid. And So Dr. Hoffman suggests, well, I want to pose as a historian, someone who writes novels, and pose as a Collins family because I feel whoever this, she wants to investigate. Now you're thinking, okay, I get the lie to everyone else, but this is a hell of a charade, right? Like, you're really going knee deep into this, like undercover. I will make the forever case that Dr. Julie Hoffman was the inspiration for Carl Kolchak because you can sort of see that. I mean, there's a scene where Dr. Hoffman goes into the basement to confirm her suspicion of Barnabas. She doesn't see his reflection in the mirror. She goes down, after that, she goes down into the basement and sees the coffin, and she knows this guy's a vampire. And she doesn't burst it out. She makes no effort to get out of town. And when Barnabas visits her one night, she's ready for him. But here's the thing: she makes an offer to help him, and this is where I go. And then she says, She tells him Maggie's alive. Man, you want to talk about a really shades of gray character? Dr. Julie Hoffman is it. But in a way that it's so enjoyable to watch this actress just work her ass off and work her craft to perfection. You know, a while back ago, I had Christine Pearson Caratilis between the shadows on. Shout out to them. And I had asked them, when did Dr. Julie Hoffman fall in love with Barnabas? And they said when Julia sort of put up her neck and said, "Here, bite me." And I agree with them because Dr. Julia Hoffman goes from doctor trying to treat. Initially, Julia got into this for fame. She wanted her name on the cover of every magazine, every book as a famous doctor. So she was in this to become famous, to become a publicity star, a publicity hound, really, which is really interesting. But as she goes on, she goes from that to she's falling in love with the person she's treating. She's falling in love with Barnabas. Even after poisoning him, she's still falling in love with him. In many ways, I know the drink, I know we're not quite to 1795 yet when that's happening. But I gotta admit, it makes me think that maybe they subconsciously had 1795 planned and just didn't realize it until all these events sort of fell into their lap. And if I'm, again, that's just my opinion. I'm not trying to say that's fact. She literally falls in love with this vampire. She falls in love with the man himself, really. Even though she doesn't know everything and he's doing his damnedest to keep it from her. He's not telling her about Angelique. He's not telling her. And really, I'll get into that a bit. He's not telling her, it literally takes Sarah showing up and Julia meeting Sarah. There is a Sarah. He does say, yes, I have a sister. I had a sister named Sarah Collins. So yes, eventually she does find out through him. Yes, I had a sister. Okay, she died, and it's like, holy shit. I really think at times I'm sort of wondering, is Barnabas fighting the urge to bite her because he knows he's cursed. He knows what that would really do. And as much as she might want that, he doesn't want that for her, showing he does give a shit about someone else other than himself. And I really think that, again, though this character went in it for one reason, she ended up doing the one thing she didn't think she was going to do: fall in love with her patient, which is amazing. So while this character was very shades of gray, I gotta give the character a turn for the good. I mean, Julia really does. do everything to eventually just help Barnabas. Even though she does assemble Judah Zachary in the cemetery later on. Amazing, amazing stuff. What was I going to get into? I had said about Julia. Okay, so Julia and Barnabas, you know, their relationship is very this, and Barnabas is pretty much like this with Willie too. But I really, Julia's dedication to Barnabas was way different than what Willie's was. Again, and this just goes to show you this woman was in love with him. She had reluctancy. Remember, she had reluctancy to kill Dave Woodard, right? When Willie Loomis gets shot full of holes by the Collinsport Police Department. I'm sorry if I'm laughing. Listen, they put so many holes in Willie Loomis. Swiss cheese is jealous. Okay, I mean the Collinsport Police Department are so accurate. Willie was standing in front of a window, a door that had a windows, and they don't hit the glass at all. They just hit Willie, which is amazing. That's how great. That's how they were taking lessons from the Shadow, and I believe they were. That's how accurate the Collinsport Police Department are. Anyway, so when Dr. Julia Hoffman, when Barnabas says, you have to make sure Willie dies, Julia's all for it. She's willing to do it because she loves this man. But Dave Woodard is where she draws the line. And it let me know that she did care for someone other than Barnabas and herself. She cared for Dave Woodard. Man, you want to talk about two amazing characters? Dr. Peter Guthrie, Dr. Julia Hoffman. And again, very different. They're not the same character. They're not, they don't try to make them the same character. It's something Dark Shadows, again, and it's something I want to emphasize with these videos, did a really, really great job at making characters different from each other. Even though if they had, a doctor by their title. Dr. Guthrie, Dr. Hoffman, Dr. Dave Woodard. And again, I find it interesting that you have an attorney that recommends Dr. Peter Guthrie, and you have another doctor who recommends psychologist Dr. Julia Hoffman. Amazing, amazing characters. Look, Julia Hoffman's legacy definitely needs to be mentioned in the new Dark Shadows because of what a legacy that character leaves behind. Alright guys, that's one video. I got two more to go. Hope you guys enjoyed this one. Dr. Peter Guthrie versus Dr. Julia Hoffman. Let me know what you guys think of these two characters.